everyone, my name is Tyler, aka Thrifts and Tangles. Today I wanted to share some tips on ways that you can quit fast fashion. As you probably know, fast fashion is just a hot mess. A lot of brands that create clothes constantly and trying to keep up with trends and keep up with demand are just polluting the environment. They're not paying their workers fairly. There was a factory collapse a few years ago that killed thousands of people and the media didn't really cover it. And it was a factory that supplied items for some of the popular retailers that we know and love in America. So there's just a lot of issues with fast fashion. So let's talk about some ways that you can quit fast fashion. The first thing you can do that will help you on this journey to quitting fast fashion is watch the documentaries, The River Blue and The True Cost. The River Blue is a documentary focused on how the fashion industry pollutes the environment, and in the documentary there's a line that says you can tell what the trendy color of the year is going to be if you look at this specific river, because the river will be polluted with chemical dyes, and if it's hot pink that means, oh, the color of the year is hot pink because a lot of these factories just release these chemicals into this river, and it is so disheartening and it's just a hot mess. So that is really eye-opening. And of course the documentary The True Cost, it covers more of the aspect of how the fashion industry affects garment workers, and it specifically goes in depth about the Rana Plaza factory collapse that killed thousands of people. It goes into depth about how they are exploited, they're not paid living wages, and the working conditions are really poor in some factories. And as soon as I saw that documentary, that kind of changed my life. I was like, I am only going to go thrifting from now on because I do not want to support these brands and these companies who are willingly exploiting labor and causing all of these issues. They don't care about people, they don't care about human rights, and it's just really upsetting. And it's one of those things that after you watch those documentaries, you can't really unlearn what you learned, and you can either make changes or, you know, try to pretend that all of this stuff isn't happening. And I feel like most people make positive changes after watching those two documentaries. My second tip for quitting fast fashion is to unsubscribe from fast fashion retailer email lists. So every week or every other day sometimes, a lot of popular companies like Forever 21, H&M will email you and say, hey, we have 1,000 new items, 2,000 items, check out these new items. Do you want to buy this? Oh, did you forget that you had something in your cart? They always are in your email trying to get you to buy. And so in my mind, I'm like, if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. So if I'm not having them remind me to go shopping, I'm not thinking about shopping. So if you unsubscribe from those email lists, that will make a big difference. You won't feel as eager to go check out these sites without getting that little reminder from them. So that is a big thing that's super helpful. My third tip for helping you quit fast fashion is to find something else to do for fun. Like for me, shopping used to be a hobby. It's something that I would always do with my friends. I'd say, hey, let's hang out. And they're like, what do you want to do? I'm like, oh, let's go shopping. But shopping isn't really supposed to be a hobby. Shopping is really something that is supposed to be done when you need something, or, you know, even if you maybe want something. But as far as like just going and like window shopping and just like, why is shopping an activity that we do for fun? That's kind of problematic, right? At least it is to me. So if you can replace shopping with something that's a little more productive, or even something free, like if you want to go meet up with your friends instead of saying like, hey, let's go shopping, why not like go for a hike, you know, walk around your neighborhood, maybe even just, I don't know, there's plenty of things you could do. You can start a book club. There's just so many more productive things you can do besides shopping, and it'll save you money too, which is really nice. My fourth tip, going back to the point of like shopping being a hobby, find new places to hang out. So if your friends are like, hey, let's hang out, don't suggest going to the mall. Avoid the mall at all costs, or try to avoid shopping plazas that have a lot of fast fashion retail stores, because that's really tempting and you might want to go into those stores and, you know, just window shop, and then you might end up with an item that is not made in the greatest conditions or has affected the planet in horrible ways. So if you do choose to hang out with your friends, go to like a standalone restaurant that's not in the mall, or again, do something else. There's so many fun things to do in the world that does not involve like hanging out at the mall. But I used to be a huge mall rat, so I get it, it's fun, it's a place to be, but actually malls are kind of like not as popular as they were when I was younger, so maybe that's not a thing people do anymore, but if it is, avoid them. My next tip is to go thrift shopping instead. So if you really do want something or need something, instead of going and buying it from a fast fashion company, check out your thrift store, because they probably have an item very similar to what you're looking to, if not the exact same item you're looking for, because the fast fashion companies, like, they just make items so constantly. People only wear clothes an average of like 7 times before it ends up being tossed out. So those items might be at the thrift store. I have a series called Mannequin Matchup where it shows mannequins at the mall from popular stores. I'm able to recreate those looks at the thrift store for less, and they pretty much look exactly the same. If you haven't seen it, click here to watch, but it's kind of mind-blowing how many of the items that are sold at the mall you can find at the thrift store for a way better price too. My next tip is, if you do not feel comfortable thrift shopping, or if you absolutely cannot find an item secondhand, buy from an ethical company instead. Ethical companies, you gotta do your research, but a lot of ethical companies do pay their factory workers fair wages. You have to be careful to avoid greenwashing, which is what I mean when I say do your research, because some companies claim they're sustainable and they're really not. So usually there's an ethics page on the ethical companies' websites, and they'll go into depth about their factories, their working conditions, how they pay their garment workers, what materials they use. They kind of give all the details and are very transparent in what they're doing. So if you do need an item, get it from a company that is actually doing good in the fashion industry and trying to make a positive change. Okay, and my last tip is to follow ethical influencers, especially on Instagram or on YouTube as well. There are so many influencers who have amazing style, and they support only like secondhand stores or only ethical stores, so it's good to go to them for style inspo. It's also good because their content will often remind you why you're even sticking to this in the first place, and they share a lot of educational content that brings light to the fashion industry and all the harms that the fashion industry has done. So it's really good to kind of be reminded of those things and have a positive influence in your life. So I'll leave in the description box below a list of some of my favorite ethical influencers, but having someone to kind of relate to during this journey is very helpful. Sorry, my camera died, so the screen might look a little bit different than it did earlier, but what I was trying to say is those are my 7 tips on how to quit fast fashion. I hope those tips were helpful. Let me know in the comments below which tip you will be following, and let me know in the comments below if you have any other helpful tips on how to quit fast fashion. All right, I thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!